Good morning. Metropolitan Community College's summer quarter term continues. We've had some blistering hot weather. Everybody make sure you're getting hydrated. We just want to wish you the best this summer as we continue on with LGBTQIA Pride Month programming throughout the month of June. Audience members, your microphones are shut down. You may chat with any of the hosts during today's presentation. And please send your questions for our speaker to moderator Barbara Velasquez. I will share your questions and maintain your confidentiality. June is Pride Month, when the world's lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, and other communities come together and celebrate the freedom to be themselves. I'll share an excerpt from the 2023 proclamation from the White House on lesbian, gay, bisexual, transgender, queer, and intersex Pride Month, which offers both historic and contemporary commentary on this month. In June 1969, a courageous group of Americans rose up to protest the violence and marginalization they faced in what became known as the Stonewall Uprising. Police had raided the Stonewall Inn, a gay bar located in New York City, and for the next 6 days, they clashed with LGBTQI+ protesters who bravely stood their ground. Their courage sparked a civil rights movement for the liberation of the LGBTQI+ community and changed our nation forever. During Pride Month, we honor a movement that has grown stronger, more vibrant, and more inclusive with every passing year. Pride is a celebration of generations of LGBTQI+ people who have fought bravely to live openly and authentically. And it is a reminder that we still have generational work to do to ensure that everyone enjoys the full promise of equity, dignity, protection, and freedom. I'm very excited to introduce to you Ryan Jamaal Swain, who is an award-winning actor and activist. Most notably, he's a breakout star of FX's award-winning show Pose, which has been internationally and critically praised for its authentic and skillful portrayal of queer and trans life on television. In it, he portrays the role of Damon Richards Evangelista, an ambitious dancer who, after being kicked out of his home for being gay, becomes part of his self-selected family in New York City's 80s area queer ballroom scene. Following the success of Pose, Swain has been seen in the television show The First Lady opposite Viola Davis, on Broadway and Choir Boy, and on numerous off-Broadway stages. As an activist, Swain was named to Forbes 30 Under 30 list for his LGBTQIA+ work on and off the screen. In addition, he has won awards from the Human Rights Campaign, Howard University, Trevor Live, and TV One, where he made a rousingly moving acceptance speech on his interactions of being Black, millennial, and queer. Swain also takes pride in being a Stonewall Inn ambassador. In his efforts to deepen his charge to protecting and liberating young queer people, he created a national campaign with the It Gets Better Foundation titled #48 Hours of Love, sharing uplifting messages of hope, empowerment, and support to LGBTQIA+ students during the stressful back-to-school season all over the country. Swain has also been featured in numerous publications ranging from Vogue, Nylon Germany, GQ, the New York Times, Forbes, and WWD for his fashion advocacy for queer visibility. Known for his inspiring rags to riches story of heading to New York City with only $50 to pursue his dreams, Swain's passion for performing began at an early age. His hometown is Birmingham, Alabama, where he started tap lessons at age 4, quickly expanded to ballet, jazz, modern, and hip hop. As an actor, he then attended the esteemed Alabama School of Fine Arts. A first-generation college graduate, Swain earned a BFA from Howard University and trained at the British American Drama Academy in conjunction with the Yale School of Drama in Oxford, UK. As a writer, he wrote and starred in A Negro Writer, a one-man show about Langston Hughes and his proverbial and private life. And he is currently writing a teen fiction novel loosely based on his own coming-of-age story. He's also currently recording his first single to be shared later this year. Whether sharing a life story that parallels with Damon Richards, as a child, Swain was physically and emotionally abused by his stepfather because of his sexual orientation, or inspiring others to boldly pursue their dreams, Swain brings an empowering message of overcoming odds while giving back to others. His keynotes motivate audiences to find their voice, cultivate their why, and use what makes them unique in their superpower. Please welcome Ryan Jamaal Swain in his presentation of Finding Your Chosen Family.
Hi, everyone. How are you? Thank you, Barbara, for that incredible, sharing of not only where I am with Metropolitan but also who I am, what I've done, and who I'm destined to be. I think that it's really incredible to do that. I'm really excited to be here. I also wanted to, because we're all on this virtual thing and still trying to find out the slings and pangs of how to come through and be as authentic as possible with this. I just want us to everyone, if you can, start by just, sitting up straight and also taking a breath in, breathing in, all of the things, the openness, the vulnerability, the happiness, the joy, the peace that you hope to bring into the world, and the happiness that you decide to bring into your own lives. And then what I want you to access or exhale on is all of the things that are blocking any of those big things. So on the count of 3, I want you to take a deep breath in and then a deep breath out. So 1, 2, 3, and let it out, exhale. Okay. So we could just get into the room. So I love that I always love to start with a few quotes, and especially because this topic, this story means a lot to me. I'm going to start with a few. So James Baldwin said, "It took me many years of vomiting up all the filth I've been taught about myself and half believed before I was able to walk on this earth as though I had a right to be here." Another one is from Courtney Corolla, which says, "The people within our community are so supportive and so caring and so loving, most of the times towards people they don't even know. And it is in moments like that when you realize that the queer community is more than a community. We are family." And then there's another one that I love to start with. It kind of went viral on Instagram and everywhere. It's from Tony Award winner Andre DeShields, and he says the 3 cardinal rules, which is surround yourself with people whose eyes light up when they see you coming. Slowly is the fastest way to get where you want to be. And the top of one mountain is the bottom of the next. So keep climbing. So just imagine you being asked to prepare a keynote about chosen family, and you're amidst a breakthrough of understanding just how important that is. Like, I'm really in the precipice of understanding the true essence of what that means, to the importance of that. But also I realized that I have exactly what I need to make this lesson a reality. I started figuring out what I needed to tap into, who I was, who I'm connected to, and it hit me. Sort of like a wildfire to a bush. I understood that I had the magic potion to all of my stresses. I have my choice, my voice, and my song. And I want to reiterate that again. I have my choice, my voice, my song, and I think that all of you as well have that as well. So what do I mean by that? Simple. I have my language. I want to start by breaking down what chosen family actually means. And quiet as it's kept, or as my friend says, loud as it is. I'm going to break down the phrase with the 2 words that it's made up of. So chosen means to select, to wish, right? But as I already sort of figured out, family was not going to be as simple as a singular definition. So I looked it up, and it says it means household relatives, but then I went a little deeper, and then it gave me a group of 1 or more parents living together as a unit. Then it gave me all the descendants of a common ancestor. Then it started to get a little interesting. It gave me a race or group from a common stock, which I was like, okay, all right. Then it got really fun. Started to talk, it started to say a group of people unified in a criminal activity. And I was like, now we're talking. Like, okay, cool, cute. Into a description that summed up all of it. A group of people connected in love. And I thought, yep, that's me. I find that family is truly the epicenter of where understanding, compassion, I got your back, but also, okay, but I'm going to give it to you straight reside. So as a young kid in Birmingham, Alabama, I was pretty indoctrinated to what I was used to, my family, my interests, my life. But I think what happens as I start to be a little bit more curious about me being who I am meant to be, I really started to figure out who am I, or really understanding, trying to figure out what it means to be me. I started to ask more questions and dig a little deeper. I grew up as the eldest of four to a mother who loved like she didn't know anything else to do, and surrounded me with as much good stuff that I would love to know, could know, and ultimately understand as the bedrock of trust and love. She taught me that in order for you to be surrounded by love, you had to first love who you are, who you wanted to be, and who you have the potential to become. I'm gonna say that again, because I think that's really important as we move into chosen family and picking and choosing the people and the things that we tap into. She said, she taught me that in order for you to be surrounded by love, you had to first love who you are, who you want to be, and who you have the potential to become. And I think that that's the first step on this journey for me, right? Or for us, which is to understand your power. Power, right? It gives you trepidation, worry, a little bit of ego, but ultimately, to a person that really doesn't understand the fullness of what that means, it gives you a feelings of loneliness. So I went to school, as Barbara said, at the Alabama School of Fine Arts. That had been a breakthrough incubator for me. And a few people that you probably know also went to that school: Laverne Cox, Adriana Alexis, who's on Real Love right now, the author of Hunger Games, Susan Collins. It filled me with promise, right? So much promise that I really didn't think about anything else. But then beyond the flowers and the ornaments, pomp and circumstances, it gave me a bit of confusion while I was there. I grew up in a house of unabridged love, but never knew the tools to get there. Never, still learning to this day, how to access that. Hell, still call my mom for rules and regulations to deal with this thing called life. And my heart, but family. Family is where all that is ruminated and is cherished and is loved and is cultivated in this capable pocket, but I can't seem to quite activate unless it's met with this same type of commitment. All that to say, I found love and commitment in my primary chosen family at my art school, where it started out as a pocket of us being connected by a thread of common struggle, AKA being Black. But then I realized that that was only the first step of what this partnership meant, the synergy of what it could be. And just to give you a heads up, we found each other in spaces where we truly see each other, and being family or life, or as my ballroom siblings would say, family. It really is a powerful phrase of language, because what it does is not only connect to who you've been, but also taps into who you are. Who you are, and that's scary, right? To understand who you are. So as I was expressing before, the comments of chosen and family, right? Chosen is to select, to wish. Family, a few of those definitions. One that I really liked was people or a group of folk connected by a unifying criminal activity. But beyond that, I think that family is this group of people that are, love. And for me, as I was matriculating through that performing arts high school, the first thing of us finding each other was this common sense of trauma, right? Being in this art school, being Black, being queer, those were all the intersectionalities in which I found my tribe at that present moment. And oftentimes for queer folk, for LGBTQIA plus folk, sometimes the first step into finding your true chosen family sometimes comes through trauma bonding. And I hate to say it like that, but that's a reality that oftentimes we know, right? We're formed or collectively tapped in by a collective event or traumatic experience. And I think that that is something to be noted, but not to stay in that space, right? Because your journey doesn't end with your trauma. I always say this quote, which is, your trauma is not your responsibility, but your healing is. And so I definitely want to reiterate that. So I keep bringing this idea of courage, right? Of everyone before courage being thwarted into a word known, oh, wait, it's standing in the presence of fear. Courage is standing in the presence of fear. And as a queer individual standing before you, I really understand how courageous one has to be to stand in the margins. It's kind of cool. I'm always excited when I do these type of talks because it's just really impactful that, we're learning and being open to the idea of chosen family as a necessary thing for queer folk or LGBTQIA plus folk. But we already kind of collectively do it as humans because we are connective people. We're meant to be together. We're meant to be in communion with folk. So, I think I'm gonna go a little off script right now. I find that, the phrase chosen family is a bit expansive and a bit broad, right? Like chosen and family. It doesn't say chosen by, chosen. Yeah, it's expansiveness, but the history behind that is that it was called that for a reason. We really don't really understand who coined the term first, but it kind of just became this incredible kind of undertaking of for people of color specifically, the genealogy of how people had to choose their family after they were enslaved or, held in captivity from their actual family, finding when they were literally sold away from their nuclear family, their bio family, right? There was this sense of finding people connected in some way, shape, or form with a sense of hope. And I think that chosen family or family specifically should be an incubator for hope, right? So story time. So I have a co-conspirator of my chosen family who will, for the length of this speech, go unnamed, that has given me the courage to be fearless. You've already been kind of introduced to her because she gave me the call and response of like quiet as it's kept, and she would usually say loud as it is, and so that was our little thing. But we have done a whole lot of life together. We have traveled the world, been confident in some of the most wildest stories imaginable, but also she was the first person that I invited into my whole experience. Inviting in, I do not believe in the coming out idea. I believe in inviting into your space. So I think that, when we talk about, and I'll give a little bit more context around that. I think when we talk about coming out or that, I think that it still revolves in this like heteronormative world to put you in a box that, God forbid, nobody wants to be in. So my charge to understand the fullness of trust, and this goes beyond just my sexual orientation, which I also have a problem. I have a problem with that kind of sterile term as well, but we'll keep it going for this speech. I let her into another part of who I am. I remember like it was yesterday, I sat her down in all of my glory in the school cafeteria at our safe haven, Howard University, and told her, hey girl, I'm attracted to men. And then she said, I said, I love them. I think they are the bee's knees for me, and I'm gay. To which she responded, okay, glad you know too. Which I'm like, excuse me? But what? She was so sure and so understanding in her charge that it made me, despite this being something that I thought was major, made it equal parts real for me. made it like walking in a park and seeing a beautiful sunset and being like, girl, that's what's possible here. And she being like, I know. It gave me the first tenet of what family should always be in the presence of love, I might add, which is understanding. That's what family should be, understanding. Again, remember those tenets I gave you on the basis of understanding who your family is, which is, let me bring that back. I said that the tenets of your family are understanding, compassion, I got your back, but also, okay, but I'm gonna give it to you straight. Those are what the tenets for me, the epicenter of what family means to me. So that's the first tenet, that understanding thing, right? And understanding can be such a crazy game to play because you never know what it actually contextualizes into. It grabs you, never lets you go, and always wants you to ask it, what else can you give me? How else can you tap into me? Break me so you can become master. But that in itself is a life game, one that I hope that you as a co-conspirators as well can tap into. So after that inviting in, I started to become more aware of folks and people not seeing me with the same level of understanding that my best friend had, right? Which oftentimes happens when you turn that wondering eye to folks that have been connected to you since birth. And here we go talking about the bio family talk, right? So just to let you know, I believe that people have the capacity to learn and grow as much as they choose to do so. And I also believe the power of choice. After all, it is the first word in this topic, and we are talking about it today, which is choice, to be chosen, to choose, right? It's something that wields power. It gives you a great many things to look forward to, because we all have our choices, good, bad, right, wrong, strongest, best. So although I do not believe in the ethos of coming out, I do believe that it is your choice to invite in the folks that you want to be a part of your incredible tapestry of who you are. So I started to notice that there were some things that my family just didn't quite grasp. I think I noticed it first through me going to that performing arts school and my family being filled to the brim with healthcare specialists. So I'm the only artist in a slew of nurses, pharmacists. So in school, to be in some way connected, to them, but then also not feeling connected to my family, that was the first aspect of kind of like, okay, something's different here. It made me feel sort of uncomfortable because I really didn't have a lexicon of language at that time. I really didn't know where to look. So a lot of my time in high school was a bit about focusing on my art, training, excelling in work, and doing the best I can with what I got, as Mariah Carey says. It was an art school after all, so we were all kids with unique and deep love for what we did and thought, and we found each other. But then growing up as a Southern Black queer person in Birmingham, Alabama, it had no handbook. There was often times where I felt like I was denounced, clowned, not understood, kind of just like pushed to the side to be, oh, that's just him being funny. It was very interesting, that type of dichotomy that I had to deal with. And, I'm gonna be frank, my family, prior to my stepfather at that time coming in, very bohemian, very young, very fresh. My mom has an assortment of family members and friends that have become family and coming from all walks of life, straight, gay, Black, white, purple, green, yellow, orange, all this. You just had an assortment of beautiful people. But I think that as I was going on this journey of really excavating who I was when I started high school, I started to see like some chinks in the armor with my own personal life. And especially when my stepfather came in, he was very verbally abusive and very, very verbally abusive and just very emotionally abusive. He made me feel very unsafe to grow and to expand inside of myself, to keep doing the thing, right, of loving who I am. And I think that I'm so grateful for that art school, my high school specifically, because it gave me the sense of feeling some type of understanding, right? So I wanted to bring that up. But so that's about that for that chapter now. I want to move to compassion. So as I was learning more about myself and who I was becoming, I started to notice that my uniqueness, my things that made me me, were not merging with folks around me. Now, I did state previously that my family taught me love, but I also had to be honest about what I also was being taught from them, and that was that was they were teaching me the capacity or their limitations of what they could do at that present moment. You know, I think oftentimes we seldom talk about capacity and folks because somehow talking about somebody's ability to do something or not to do something sometimes weans over to negative and pessimistic views. But I'm learning more and more, especially as I deal with my own boundaries and my own kind of like capacity for growth, that knowing one's capacity for something or understanding, you know, maybe understanding that a task is too big is self-awareness, which give way to self-mastery. Compassion was taught to me through my tribe members, a band of artists, other queer folks, some childhood friends who would listen and provide an ear to things I was dealing with and gave me unbiased and truthful, invested responses. Let me see. So like I said, I was pretty much like, you know, I grew up Southern Black queer person, had no handbook. And I talked about that whole thing about me being considered the funny one, like the kid that was just like, oh, Ryan's like exuberant, just funny. I just remember all of my family would say funny, like he's just funny. He's, you know, oh, you just being funny. Stop being crazy, boy. And I realized that those type of phrases became a badge of judgment, something that took a very different connotation to what I was brought up on as a buoyant, creative child. You know, this term or phrase had a certain bite that I really didn't feel, and I really didn't mesh with. And as a Pisces, my discernment has always been up and very clear, my spiritual and my emotional capacity. So I realized that there was something that on that funny that was bit a different way, right? And I had this chip on my shoulder and wanted to make sure that everyone felt that, or at least a little bit of hurt I was going through. You know, when I found out what that phrase really truly meant, I started to lash out in some crazy ways. And it is true that compassion, as a term puts it, is it's something incredibly difficult. You know, and the topic on the table was my legitimacy to be fully healthy and normal being. My humanity was being put on trial. And those friends at the time gave me the space to be that hurt, sensitive, and messy mess that I needed to be without judgment, while I was understanding and really excavating what this funny person was or what this funny kind of phrase was. My art school friends at that time gave me the capacity to just be sensitive, to be messy, to try to find myself through, you know, the hurt. And I think that there's this really powerful quote that Thich Nhat Hanh said when he was talking to Oprah on this Super Soul Sunday interview. And it was basically about one of the most powerful things a person can do to show that they care for someone is to be able to listen to understand and not listen to respond. The quieter you are, the more you can listen, you know, and that's what I got from that video. And I was like, oh, that makes sense. Sometimes your friend group, sometimes you as the friend, when your friends are going through distress, and oftentimes, I hate to say it, but as LGBTQIA plus folk, our truth sometimes doesn't always warrant our safety. And that safety looks like emotional safety. Doesn't look like, it may look like physical safety. So having that tribe of people with me to be able to just let me just be emotionally and fully me in all of my mess, is really one of those the most powerful things that they could have given me in that moment of distress, where I was figuring out who and what and how I wanted to become and how I wanted to bring myself to this work, right? And bring myself to this world. And that's where compassion plays heavy, because it's a sign of solidarity of I'm here with you and you're going to be okay. You are incredible. This is hard, but I am here and we are going to do exactly what we need for you to be able to look at yourself and come back to your power. I don't think those group of people in that moment realized how big of a task they were undertaking and how seamlessly and beautifully they allowed me to just be, and I think that that's what family is. It's saying, I'm here. We can do exactly what you need for you right now to be able to look at yourself and come back to your power. And there's that word again, power. It is yours to give away. And that is something that most of us are on the journey to finding it. Always most certainly giving it away too quickly. And I think as queer people, we forget that we have power. Everyone has their own source of power. And oftentimes through these slings and pangs of traumas and griefs, and just being young and trying to figure out what this is, we oftentimes give some of that power away to some of the wrong people, to some of the wrong circumstances, to some of the wrong places, times, and things. But I think that the awareness of, oh, I have power is a huge, huge understanding and on the peg of self-mastery. So I really just want to reiterate grace and reiterate that you do have power no matter where you are on your journey. And also understanding. On the flip side of compassion, you have to be able to understand to give that to yourself. I know that being someone that is part of this wickedly, incredibly community is not easy. It's not easy being a part of this community. The things that are, which is just being you, the most powerful thing is that you're choosing your truth. And that's something that a lot of people have yet to find and yet to accept. So yeah, but revolutions start, but honestly, it was through that compassion and that sort of blind faith and listening to something some of my family understood, while some of them did not give me the courage to start showing up in ways that brought back the fire and love of self. That James Baldwin quote that I had at the top of the speech really was probably birthed out of a power and a terror of what it meant for James Baldwin to be authentically him. The one about, it took me many years of vomiting up who I was told I was to finally walk on this world as though I belonged here. I think that him birthing that quote or that coming out of that speech really was something out of him being scared of being authentically him. I think about the people like Nikki Giovanni, Lorraine Hansberry, Toni Morrison, Bear Brewston, all these folks. And I think about just who he was surrounded by and how they centered him, no matter his queerness, at who he was at core. And I think that all of those folks that I just named gave him the courage, probably directly and indirectly, for him to vomit up the filth in the name of feeding his soul with something more nourishing. And I think that they all gave him a sense of love. I mean, in their own twisted ways, perhaps, but not twisted ways, but their own capacity of ways. Because a lot of those people weren't queer. And talking and giving love to a queer person oftentimes provides a little bit, it requires a little bit more nuance and more specificity, but you can still, as Felicia Rashad once told me, truth is always felt. So you can feel when people's intent and their capacity for giving love and surrounding you in love is true and genuine. So I will say that. I think the best thing that one can give to anyone is love, which oftentimes comes in this form of, I got your back. And I feel like that's what a lot of them did for him, right? I got your back. I'm here for you so you can feel and know that in your most vulnerable and strongest days, if anything ever tries to dim your shine, I am here to make sure that nothing has changed on your end of the equation and that you keep on being your beautiful self that you are. I think that's what that I got you, I got your back also is a sense of, I see you and I understand you, or I see you and I want to understand. And I think that that's another step of it, right? Understanding the tenets of chosen family, understanding compassion, love, I got your back, but also I'm gonna hold you accountable. I think that those are the 5 tenets of any type of family that you decide to choose. And I think that when I'm thinking about that specific James Baldwin quote, I'm thinking about how all of the Martin Luther King, Malcolm X, Harry Belafonte, Toni Morrison, uh, Bayard Rustin, how they all gave him in that means of probably feeling like he didn't belong in this core, him and Bayard Rustin specifically. I think that was their tenet of love, which was I got your back, or a sense of compassion or empathy, or beyond the understanding, but understanding, like having that type of sense of I got your back. And I think that is a huge, 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 huge thing when we're talking about chosen family and choosing our chosen family, because again, this is your choice. This is your choice to surround yourself with, to be fed by, to give grace to also be to them what they are for you, or something else that you have more capacity for. So I definitely wanted to say that. Yeah, I think that I got you, I see you for a young queer person releases us into a frenzy of emotional outrageousness, right? It gives us the opportunity to be wild because someone, somewhere has enough love in this dangerous, powerful energy to be in, and is why everyone that isn't quite a part of this conversation with themselves are so hell-bent on trying to erase or eradicate it. The idea that chosen family can see a young queer person, and it gives the young queer person the opportunity, or the queer person, or LGBTQIA plus underneath the umbrella, the space to just be seen. That's a very powerful act that anybody can give to anyone, right? And I think that when you unlock that type of power in a queer person, or in somebody that has also been on the margins, anybody, some people will be so hell-bent on trying to erase or dumb that down, and I think that is oftentimes, as we look into this moment of what's going on in our world, with legislation and rights being pulled away, and drag shows and drag queens, and don't say gay bills, and drag bans and trans bans, and healthcare being revoked. The thing that they're really ashamed and scared of is what type of power is unleashed when queer people are truly seen and truly loved and truly tapped into. And that is a very dangerous, dangerous act for anybody that is used to being in an oppressor state. So I definitely want to tap in on that as well. I find that the work of finding self, if finding those people that fan your flame fluctuates, it is sometimes right and easy to fall into a very important conversation with like-minded people, but oftentimes, just as much as you are growing and changing, so are those types of relations. So I mentioned that, my art school, my high school was a huge, the tribe members that I found there gave me the space to be messy, to figure out my things, do that. But also as I matriculated into my own understanding of who I was, as I, got older, what's that phrase? Some people are here for a season, some people are here for a lifetime. You have to realize that some people are sometimes there for you in that particular moment. It's quite easy to fall in conversation and in concert with people that are like-minded, but it's also very common to fall out of situations and things in which for what you need. Some people are there for a moment, others there for a season. The rarest time you might find someone or some folk that are there for a full lifetime. I guess I bring all that up to say that your network is also your net worth. And I think you, as bordering pupils, as people that are tapping into who they are and asking those deep ass questions, are learning just how important that is, because essentially who you are surrounded by is also who is nourishment and who is feeding you, who's feeding your spirit, your mental, your physical, the people that you are around. And I have expressed the three tenets that I think family and equal parts chosen family are built on, which are understanding, compassion, I got your back, but also this next one is the one that those deafening blows, which is like, okay, but let me give it to you straight, that accountability thing, because this is the spiciest one of all. I like to say spiciest because it's kind of the most controversial one. It's spicy because it requires full accountability and full love and full courage. So we all fall short of those things, right? Being of those times of being considerate. And just as any relationship evolves, so does your needs and necessities in life. You know, I made a vow to myself a couple years back to never put myself in environments and in places where I cannot be all of who I am. And I am built on greater, and I deserve greater always. Get into the habit of holding yourself accountable first, so you can then acknowledge that if you hold yourself up to the highest standard, then it will be only be an extension of your own self-respect that you will rub off and trickle over to the comrades, aka your chosen family. So I'm gonna say that again. Get into the habit of holding yourself accountable first. So you can then acknowledge that if you hold yourself up to the highest standard, then it's only an extension of your own self-worth that you then hold your tribe accountable as well. So I was watching the Super Pets movie this weekend, which is great, by the way. I mean, I love that movie. And I realized that it came right on time because, as all things that are divinely orchestrated does, because it was a clear story of chosen family and accountability. So Crypto, who is voiced by Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, is essentially Superman's best friend, sidekick in the fight, but is feeling signs of neglect as Superman is welcoming in this new chapter into his life, you know, his love with Lois Lane, right? So, you know, Crypto is like he is feeling kicked to the side, you know. So Superman gets kidnapped, you know, after a mission that involves a meteor with superpower abilities, and it's his nemesis Lex Luthor. Hold on. Let me figure this out. No, because I got it. Superpower. So yes, hold on, because I'm really excited about this. So Crypto, the dog, to Superman's, his sidekick, he feels kind of, you know, thwarted away, pushed to the side because Superman is about to fall in love. I don't know how many people know the Super Pets movie. So so then what is it? Superman gets kidnapped after a mission, and then he's being hunted by these villains in this movie. The villains is these guinea pigs who were test subjects to Superman's arch nemesis Lex Luthor, and all of that stuff. But Crypto, after being excited about a bro date he was looking forward to with Superman, goes south. He goes on a date. Crypto was looking forward to a date that was happening with he was excited to be spending time with his best friend, but you know, Superman stood him up with Lois Lane. But then it turned out that he got kidnapped. So, you know, the child didn't know what he was doing. He was trying to figure it out. He was like, what is going on? Why does this man don't love me no more? What's happening? And then so Crypto is trying to he realizes that Superman just got kidnapped and he's trying to do all of these things on his own. He's trying to save him by himself, you know, because he's supposed to be the super dog, right? So then it turns out that he has to call in for help. So, and the help that he has to call in, strangely enough, are a band of pound dogs, you know, pound pets, people that have been displaced, that have been kind of not wanted. And so throughout the movie, they go through this moment where he's having to rectify, well, I'm supposed to be the super dog. I have the superpowers, but these people that are quote unquote, I guess would be ordinary or not normal, they're here helping me in the margins of when I went to go tap into my other super pets or people that had superpowers, they didn't provide agency and result. And so then there was a moment in Crypto's moment, or I guess his arc, his character arc, where he realized that, damn, I'm actually a little toxic right now in this moment. me not understanding how to ask for help, me not understanding how to be okay with help not looking the way that I want it to look. And it's coming from these groups of, I mean, there was a guinea pig, Lord child, that was voiced by Kevin Hart, and there was like I think a goose character, and these other things. But I bring all that up to say that also being in a space where you are right now, being at the precipice of kind of like this transitionary step for you, um, you know, coming into this school as commuter students, as folks that are choosing to do this for you, um, also making the choice to hold yourself fully accountable when you need to you need to be kind of brought back to center, brought back to reality. And I think that chosen family is also that as well. It's that idea of I got your back, but I'm also going to give it to you straight. And somehow, somewhere, I hope that you are surrounding yourself with people that are, what did Prince say? Real friends and real mentors aren't on your payroll. They're not being, and I think there was something so brilliant about that, meaning thus that, they won't, yeah, the real true friends and the real people that are a part of your tribe are people that don't have anything to gain from you on a monetary or a spiritual level, well, not a monetary level or a transactional level. They're there in your life to bring you back to center when you can't already bring yourself to center. So I think that was my little anecdote about Super Pets. I kind of butchered the plot a little bit, but you got the point, honey. Y'all got the point. What else? Okay, let me see. So I come back to this question of how are you showing up for you? How are you facilitating, the key beneficiaries of your healing journey? And how are you loving and bringing forth the love you might not have had to heal and become that person you are meant to be? Find people in your life that feel like peace. Find people in your life that feel like peace. I'm not sure about what home means for you, but I implore you to find a peaceful and impactful inspiration about what home is for you. One that brings you joy, that makes you feel warm and calm. I can tell you as someone that is also in this fight with you, that is the most definitely is most definitely something. And in those people that I bring with me, it's in those people that I bring with me every day, this sense of calm, this sense of home, this sense of sanctuary. So I hope that you are finding someone that really truly understands and taps into you. What else? I think about the countless young people that are out there that have been in distress with nowhere to go. I think about how my being here is a dream in process. I hope that in something that I have said today gives you the space to find your chosen family and find your incredible tribe of co-conspirators, because we all have a group of people out there for us, unified in a criminal activity. And that criminal activity is finding our peace in our community and our power. Yeah, I'm very, very excited to be here. I'm very excited to have been with you. I hope that, something that you grab from this conversation from me, I want you to remember to find those people whose eyes light up when they see you, who cultivate in you and in themselves happiness, discipline, truth, fearlessness, courage, joy, love, ease, and laughter. Please, I beg of you to remember to laugh, to hope, to dream, and to have those people around you that set your heart and life aflame. In the good ways, not in that, arson, fiery sort of way, I may be Ryan Jamaal Swain, but I'm really a tapestry of so many parts. And those parts have shown me the arduous task of living a life, but also parts where I have love all around me. And I still make it my business to choose and to cultivate and to activate my power. Power of a few ancestral dreams realized, power of, not, being standing in the margins of being courage in spite of fear, calling power of so many things. So one step in front of the other, we will collectively get there. We will all get there, but yeah, give yourself the same care and devotion and tenderness, because this life for anyone, no matter if it's LGBTQIA plus, no matter if you're straight curious, straight, whatever the case may be, it's hard to live this life, to move through life. So give yourself the grace to be all that you can be, but also giving yourself the time to just pace yourself. Because if you only have this moment in your heart, and I got one more quote before we finish. At the moment of commitment, the universe conspires to assist you. All right. At the moment of commitment, the universe conspires to assist you. So that can be big, small commitments. But committing to showing up for your life will activate the universe to give you little nuggets and steps to assist you on that full journey of self-mastery, of self-love, and self-determination, of self-realization. Hell, if you commit to being in a space of finding your chosen family, of finding your tribe, there'll be little nuggets that will be coming out of random orifices around you. But it can only happen at the moment of commitment, true commitment, true surrendering to what's best for you. Because that gives the universe the activation and the spirit to tap in and give you grace. So that's all. I love you all. Thank you for this opportunity.
Thank you so much, Ryan. It's such a pleasure for us to be with you today. Pleasure and honor. I want to thank you in the virtual sense for inviting us into your space. And I love this distinction you make about inviting into space versus coming out. But it feels really, you've made it feel very welcoming to all of us. We do have questions rolling in. Some of them you're going to find in kind of direct yes or no kind of things, and more philosophical. So
Okay.
Let's see where we're going to start here. What term do you prefer rather than the sterile term of sexual orientation?
That's a good question. I haven't found an alternative, but I know I hate that. I don't like that one. I think I could try to find one. mm, mm, mm. I don't have one like do sexual orientation. Eek. I gotta think about that one. I'll come back to that
Okay.
one. I'll come back.
That's cool. So we
I'll
have a
come back.
comment. Thank you for your very deep honesty and awareness of self. What would you, as an advocate of learning how to get to the place where you can be honest with yourself, what would you do, I think, as an advocate of learning how to get to the place where you can be honest with yourself so you can be yourself in the world? What specifically do you say to the older populations who are now trying to understand the forces that are affecting our young people to increase our ability to be supportive? So this comes from a person, a veteran in age, saying what do you suggest to us in the older generation to better understand young people and be supportive?
Oh, absolutely. I think that there's 5 tenets of being an ally, because I think this is what this kind of is tapping into. And I just had to do a talk about that as well. So I'm gonna give a few things. Acknowledgement of, number one, yeah, how do you show up in the margins for young people and giving them space? 'Cause I want to make sure I'm understanding the question and how showing up for yourself. Um, Acknowledging that this is a different generation, and also the lexicon of language and the verbiage around things you might not understand. Acknowledging that there might be a margin of understanding or educating yourself that has to happen in order for you to truly feel that you can show up for these young folks. So then that means that, right, like acknowledging your privilege. You have the privilege of experience. Sometimes you have the privilege of a few things. And then educating yourself on the things, and then listening. I think listening is the most valuable thing that oftentimes people forget, because oftentimes people, again, as I said in the thing, they want to listen to respond, they want to listen to protect, they don't want to listen to understand. And sometimes in that protection or that pursuit of protection, we oftentimes don't hear what the babies are truly saying, that what they need. The 5 tenets of allyship is acknowledgement, language, listening, research, and advocacy. Those are the 5 tenets. So I'm just going to give you that base level. Those are tangible. Acknowledgement, language, listening, research, advocacy. Acknowledgement of privilege, understanding lexicon of language, understanding what are they saying to you, how are they needing to be shown up for, which is also a part of listening. Then the research of how do I show up in the margins, what do I don't know? And then the next one is like decentering yourself to center someone else, advocacy. Yeah, I think that we go from these spaces, especially for anyone that is learning something new and different. We go from this apathetic space of, I really don't know what the hell is going on. I don't know what's happening with these young people. I hear it oftentimes with so many, so many elders. They just be like, but why is this so important? But first off, yes, you to even say, or even to consider, why is it important? Why are these pronouns important? All the things. You coming from that space already is that apathetic space is already a space of privilege. So number one, that's where we need to move those margins away from. Then we move into an aware space, right? You have to be aware. You have to be aware. You start to become aware that somewhere these young people are not feeling seen, heard, valued. So then you're like, okay, how do I tap into that? Then you go into that active space of listening to what the confusion, the things are, the language that you need to tap into, the ordinance in which, how do I show up for these folks, and being deeply and surrendering to it, because allyship and being an advocate, being a sponsor, being a champion of someone, of some people, without something deeper driving you, your allyship can feel very surface, and people will feel that. So I'm just going to be clear about that. Making a active decision to show up and to surrender to, I don't know about this, but I'm willing and I care enough to figure it out. So I think in that acknowledging privilege, educating yourself, and then listening carefully, then there goes into, now we have active allyship where you can move through and really truly be in the margins and see people. But you can't see people until you stop trying to, control or tap in, and then just being an advocate. I hope that answers the question. I'm looking at my sticky notes right now, so I'm like, because I have them here. Because I just had a conversation about that, but I find that especially generational gaps, and I'm thinking about generational queer people. I'm thinking about generational, just a generation. There's so many people that we have lost. And some of our elders now didn't have mentors prior because, of a epidemic of, everything. And I find that the real true essence of really seeing people and being there for folk is that compassion and that awareness and that type of, I don't know, but I'm gonna be with you to figure it out. And also decentering yourself, that really sometimes as we move through life, we oftentimes forget how powerful softness and vulnerability and surrendering to and listening is very important. So I hope that you can recenter that in the hopes that it activates inside of you. this person who asked the question, this idea of being there and showing up for the queer babies and the LGBTQIA plus folk, and just babies, the new babies right now. Just to, yeah, tap into that. Yeah, tap into that. Yeah, I think I'll leave it.
I think you've given us a lot to consider, and I appreciate that very in-depth answer.
Yeah.
One listener wants to just say that the things Ryan is sharing are so important for all of us. Thank you for your courageous commentary.
Oh, thank you.
Another wants to make sure that she has one of the quotes right. At the moment of commitment, the universe conspires to assist you. Do I have that right? Okay.
That's perfect.
All right.
Perfect.
And I just want to throw out that one of our viewers has asked us to make sure those of us here at the college support SAFE, which is the Student Alliance for Everyone. It's MCC's LGBTQ plus and allies student organization. And in the chat, you can see a link where you can join. And okay, so I take notes a lot of times when speakers are here, and I have like 4 pages. So, and it's all valuable that I don't want to lose any of it, but then I have to see where I go with it. But I like the comment about the trauma bond. There's just so much here for us to consider, and that the journey does not end with trauma. The healing part is your responsibility. I'm going to come to a question here, I promise.
No, but I'm just rejoicing that you found those.
Oh my God.
I'm glad that you heard those. Yeah, you heard those, because those are really important to me.
Powerful.
Yeah, they're really really important to me.
I want to bring this, I'm looking across the attendees, and many of who are here do have student contact. You mentioned that your art school gave you that feeling of understanding that you didn't have previously. Yeah. What can our educators do? What practices would you suggest that will help the diverse array of students that we see gain confidence, feel like they can be themselves, get that space to figure out their lives? Do you want to give us an idea of 1 or 2 things that you would suggest that they try to do, whether they're in the classroom or providing services to students, or just somebody who's walking around campus who sees students?
You cannot know the giant that you have been tasked to conquer if you don't see it, if you don't know, or you don't have any type of space of knowing. So I feel like this giant is, how do we create space? The giant is separation. The task is cultivation and coalition building. I find that comes through really understanding what it is that folk need. So I think that perhaps, I mean, it's so old school, but I'm old school, a suggestion box, or just like a type of, I don't know, a forum where you know exactly what the students need, the young people need. Also feeling like beyond what I found that for myself, what I found that is helpful before we go into me disclosing my traumas and trusting you in that way, I just need to know, and I need to trust that you are there for me. So I think that one practice could be a sense of checking in and checking out. I don't know what departments or groups that are necessary. I think SAFE is a great one. I mean, because I just heard that one. But this sense of being able to do a check-in with yourself, and personally, we can all do this, no matter what age we are, is like, before we enter into a room, or before we leave a room, the check-in aspect is, what do I want to bring into this room? What is it that I want to release? What is it that I'm looking forward to? Like writing these things down. What am I looking forward to in this next, when I go out of here? What am I releasing and letting go of? Or what am I hoping to let go of? And what am I leaving in the room? I think those are the three things. We do that I'm in DC right now doing a play about the resilience of the LGBTQA the community, but it's centering this one man that goes through finding out he's been diagnosed with HIV, and these vignettes of like his family, and there's a lot of shame and guilt in there and a lot of emotional tethers and trappings. But I know that my intimacy coach on the piece was just like that practice of releasing, what's staying in the room, what am I letting go of, and what am I looking forward to, really helped me to come back to myself, to be able to have a physical check-in, check-out moment. And I think that as facilitators and for people that facilitate space, right, creating brave space, because I don't believe in the idea of creating safe space. I hate that term as well. I just hate a lot of terms. But I just hate safe space, because safe space, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about brave space. Brave space, there will always be some tenet of, we don't understand, awkward, it's dangerous, but bravery does not negate the fact that fear will be around. And so then I believe that brave space gives you the armor and the capacity to then move through life in spite of fear and in the presence of fear, in a way that you don't crumble. Safe space, yes, we do need safe spaces, but I do believe in cultivating brave spaces, because some conflict is necessary, some breaking and moving through is necessary in understanding who you are, because oftentimes there's accountability. So I think that one way to curate brave space is to know the beast, or know the giant that you are told to conquer. And that starts with understanding and really getting to the margins of what these kids need, what these students need, what these young adults need, and then moving into, okay, how do I now give them the facility and the space to give them all that I can give. And I think that checking in and checking out, that writing of when I'm leaving in the room, what I'm looking forward to, and putting that in the box, not looking at it, probably the suggestion box as well, for understanding what's going on in people's lives. And then activating around, okay, advocacy and active advocacy for that. I don't want to give you the how to, but I definitely know that those things really help people feel safe and feel secure, and give them tactical and tactile things to, okay, I'm not feeling good right now. So I want to release doing that and having that just in a room, as random as it may be, and just letting people put that in there. The physical manifestation of dropping something, writing it out, making it plain, always feels, and the release, and just releasing it and putting it in something away from yourself, activates something in my brain and in my nervous system, and vagus system, that makes me feel very, okay, I can go through the day. And that makes me feel safe. So, but some other people might need other things. But I know that for me, from my perspective, that would be what I would suggest. Yeah.
Thank you. I promise I'm not going to keep you here forever, Ryan, but I know that some people in our audience have seen Pose, and others maybe going back to look at previous recordings. But what did you want people to learn from your portrayal on Pose? What did you want the to be?
Of course. Yeah, I can definitely answer that for sure. So for people that don't know, people that do know, I play Damon Richards' Evangelist. The Richards is very important because he had a storyline, coming away from his bio family, getting kicked out of his home, and then finding his chosen family. And I think that, Damon is the direct composite, and kind of like a really direct one of how do you find your chosen family. And often with Blanca, who was his, house mother, she found him. And there was a bit of like, girl, I don't know what you do. I don't want to do that. I would just want to be a professional dancer. There was a bit of like hesitancy, but through that, he found out that, well, through, necessity, he found a home. And so in my portrayal with Damon specifically, I wanted my portrayal of him and what we all crafted over in Poe's world was never to lose sight of your softness, never losing sight of the radicalness and the powerfulness of just being a normal kid that had extraordinary circumstances happen to him. And it's crazy because I'll give a little anecdote. Oftentimes I felt very, very, very kind of like imposter syndrome on set because Damon was not one of those characters that started out in the ball scene, right? He was just this normal kid from this middle class family that just wanted to dance, and he got kicked out because his mom and dad didn't want to see him for being gay and wanted to be a dancer. Well, for being gay and wanting to be a dancer. And I think that's, and in hindsight, I see how important that story is, because Damon can be many of us that just feel outside on the margins and don't really have like something that's really, really, truly severe happen to them. Besides, the abandonment of family. But before, like being able to center this radicalness and normalcy, and understanding how powerful sometimes normalcy can be to a queer child, because essentially everybody under the umbrella of queerness, and that's all the the alphabet family. That's what I call us. We just want to be able to live and to be free to be who we are. And for Damon, in his color on the rainbow of the Pose tribe, because he has a certain color, his color was I wanted in my portrayal for people to remember their softness, to not be jaded by the world, to be able to remember. There's another quote. I'm a big person on quotes, child. There's one by Albert Camus, the French philosopher. He says, "We are all in pursuit of those first few moments where our heart opened up." And I'm going to say that again for people that want to write that down. We are all in pursuit of those first moments, or those moments where our heart opened up. I think that this thing called life, we are all trying to figure out who we are. And there are oftentimes moments where you feel like, oh, I found the puzzle piece to who I am in this moment. Or we're in the pursuit. I think the life journey is the pursuit of getting to those moments. And those moments can happen at 8, they can happen at 58, and they can happen at 80 or 100. But still, you are on that pursuit. And I wanted in my portrayal for Damon to really shine that, to shine that journey of finding yourself and being unapologetic in that, but also understanding that there's power in softness for so many queer people. That baby was so soft and so kind and so loving. And I made sure I protected that so fiercely when I portrayed him, when they were writing, because oftentimes this world can make us very coarse and very callous. But I want people to remember and remind themselves of the softness of being who you are, and being in pursuit of those moments that your heart opened up, where you found yourself, where you are finding you, where you've seen you. And those are really powerful, powerful moments. I don't want to get emotional, but it's, that's a gorgeous undertaking to, wanting to come back to self and wanting to master self, to love self, to realize self. So that's what Damon's, my portrayal of him and what I hope that I've injected into the world through him. So that's it.
Thank you so very, very much. Really appreciate, Ryan, everything you shared with us. You opened up your thoughts, your mind, your life. I want to offer you a chance to share anything you want our audience to know in closing, because we are beyond time that we promised to you. So
Yeah, no, yeah, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, rest, give yourself grace. This life thing is crazy. And in my 29th year of living, as much as I probably will be in my 79th year of living, you still trying to figure it out, and yeah, just holding myself in this journey. And I want you to allow yourselves to hold yourself and give yourself grace. Um, we you're making first steps in being here, um, and just showing up for your life. And I'm very proud of you all. I love each and every one of you. Um, I can't wait to see what you do out here in this world, how you show up for you. And we are excited to have you when you come up out here. And, after this part of your journey has ended. But yeah, but keep showing up for you, and know that you are loved, you are seen, you are heard, and you are valued. And that's coming from me. So that's what I want to leave you with.
thank you so much. And I want to let everybody know that Ryan graciously is allowing us to record. And this will be available on Metro's YouTube page. If you can't find it, you can contact me. Give us a little bit of time to get a permanent recording together. Ryan, you have accomplished so much as a young individual, and we know that there's only great things in the future. So we'll be watching. We will be really excited to see that your dreams continue to be accomplished.
Thank you so much.
All right. And I'd like to thank Joe, who has always helped us so well as a technician. He's going to put up a slide now. And you also see in the chat that online evaluation link. We appreciate your feedback. I will send that out to you also. And I want to for those of you who have a question that didn't get answered, I'm going to try to still get you an answer outside of this session. We just ran out of time today. Finally, we are finishing up our LGBTQIA+ Pride Month. That doesn't mean that it's only honored 1 month of the year. Metro honors all of our initiatives 24/7, 12 months of the year. But tomorrow we invite you back to a virtual panel entitled "At the Intersection: Strategies for the LGBTQIA+ International Student Support." And we have 4 professionals all working in North Carolina right now. And they are going to be telling us about what they've learned can be helpful in terms of global aspects of needs and services for the LGBTQIA+ community. Hoping to see you tomorrow at 12:30. Thank you to everybody and appreciate your time here.